Lift your... Hi, everyone. It's Karla, Gordy, Bristol, and welcome to Karla Dawn Live. This is a wonderful show here from Dulan's on Crenshaw. Our great friend, both of us, Gregory Dulan, is the owner here at this long-standing establishment with soul food. So we will be eating. We will be feeding our soul at Dulan's today, and I'm psyched about it. So for those that not in Los Angeles, when you come here, make sure you find Dulan's on Crenshaw Boulevard. It's been here for so long. It's a community, the people in the community know it. It gives back to the community. He does so many things to help organizations, and the food is delicious. I am here today with a terrific guest who is very active. That's a word you're going to hear a lot today. He is a community activist, Najee Ali. Hi, Najee.
Hi, Karla. It's great to see you again.
You always.
So it's an honor to be on your show. I watch it every week on Facebook, but
yay.
I never dreamed I would be a guest, so I'm just honored to be here.
We've taken you from out there and just thrust you into the chair. Well, a lot of people that's happened to, so it's flattering to me to know that I have an audience that is so active and busy and acclaimed with doing good work that they can come on the show and talk about it. So thank you.
Well, the honor's all mine. Your show's very informative, so I look forward to a great discussion.
Fantastic. I'm looking for it. Everybody, buckle your seats. There's a lot of community work going on from this man right here. So you are, and I'm going to tell everybody, an award-winning, nationally celebrated civil rights activist, community organizer, and author, because you wrote a book. And that book cover kind of took me. I was like, ooh, yeah, we'll talk about that. And you also worked, initially you started this work in 1988 working for Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was at that time a candidate for president, right?
Yes, he was.
That must have been pretty exciting.
It was my first glimpse into politics. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, Reverend Jackson took a liking to me. And honestly, he was like my hero. I think at that time, Reverend Jesse Jackson was every young black man's superhero.
Yeah.
He was a role model for us all. So for me to volunteer, and for him to actually, embrace me and take me under his wing and mentor me is something that no one can take away from me. I will remember it the rest of my life.
I'm sure that had been a very interesting experience and educational experience working for him during that time when everybody was so excited about him running for president. Well,
it was. So at that time, most of our role models were like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
right.
Magic Johnson,
exactly.
Muhammad Ali. But for a black man to say, hey, I'm going to run for president was like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And we immediately had hope and inspiration. And I immediately wanted to volunteer in South Central LA once it was announced he was going to come here and set up an office.
So you worked for the office once you heard he was coming, huh?
I worked and volunteered for the office.
And
then I had the chance to actually meet him. And then...
Could you speak? Could you speak when you met him the first time, or were you nervous?
I was like, oh my God, it's Jesse Jackson. And I had a chance to actually, go to campaign stops and volunteer and travel with him throughout LA. So it was something that I will always cherish the rest of my life. I actually met Reverend Jackson and worked on his campaign.
Oh, wow. That's so nice. I'm sure you'll definitely keep those memories for a lifetime.
Well, I will.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make sure everyone is hearing us, that we're clear, that you are receiving all the information, and you know how I like to do it. I like to see some hearts fly up there. The audience is really good with the likes and the hearts, and that way I know that everything is good. If you don't put any up, then I will have to check with the technical staff here and find out what's going on and make sure you're hearing us. So I'll give it a moment there. So you came from Gary, Indiana, home of the Jackson 5.
Yes, born and raised in Gary, Indiana, graduate of Westside High School. Mm-hmm. And for me, growing up with the Jackson 5 and seeing them move to LA, I thought, wow, if the Jackson 5 could do that, then one day maybe I could move out to California and follow my hopes and dreams. So they were like my very first role models, the Jackson 5.
So that was a big impact on you, seeing a successful group like the Jackson 5 make it out of Gary, Indiana to go and be success in the entertainment industry.
Oh, well, without question. Anytime someone from Gary is able to make it out of Gary and go somewhere else, they become our role models immediately. An inspiration. So the Jackson 5, Ernest Thomas, actor for What's Happening.
Absolutely.
Singer Denise Williams.
Hi, Ernest. Ernest watched this show.
It's my hometown hero.
Oh, yeah.
Singer Denise Williams were always those people who inspired me to want to move out of Gary and go somewhere else.
Wow, that's something. You know, some people are satisfied with where they are and they don't dream beyond that. What was it, you know, I know the Jackson 5, was that really the sole reason that you had eyes beyond the community you were in, or were there other things going on?
Well, maybe it was the first reason, but I could honestly say one of your family members, an icon, world icon, one of the most influential people, and I say this seriously, to ever walk the planet Earth, Mr. Barry Gordy. I saw the move they made as a young person from Detroit to Los Angeles. So something clicked. If Mr. Barry Gordy can leave Detroit and Motown,
that was big.
Then there's something in LA that I want to experience and go further in life.
I had no idea. Look at that.
Just being honest. It's
That's
the truth.
really interesting. Yeah.
No, but think about it. Barry Gordy was an icon already in Detroit, a fixture. For him to say, hey, I'm going to leave Detroit and move to Los Angeles, move Motown to LA, was something that was courageous, and it probably had never been done before.
Exactly, and it wasn't something, I'm sure, he just wanted to leave Detroit. It wasn't about that. It was about the industry he was in, and to take it to the next level, that really was what had to be done. You know, all the big record labels were in LA, and so at some point you have to realize you've done as much as you can do in one area, and it's time to kind of spread the wings, as they say, and move out there. And it's challenging. You're right, very challenging. And thank God he was a big success when he moved and things went well. And you came and you made a big difference in a lot of people's lives and in the community as well, because you're very deeply involved politically and socially with activism. So just tell the audience a little bit about what is it to be a political activist or social activist in your community. What does it really mean, and what do you have to go through?
I think one of the things that I remember, a famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, another one of my heroes, he said, anyone can be a leader just by serving. Yeah. So my initial activism was volunteering and serving in the community, whether it was Reverend Jesse Jackson's campaign, or whether it was just feeding the homeless. And then as I got older and more experienced, I realized there was a need to try to bring peace in South Central LA between the Crips and Bloods. So I began to help organize, trying to bring peace and awareness, and that also led to police reform and protesting against the police, who also were, in my opinion, racially profiling and abusing black people in South Central LA. So I wanted to make sure I was active, not just politically, but also socially in my neighborhood.
Right. I understand that for sure. Goodness, it is hard to see that. You've witnessed so much death, so much crime, so many wrongful deaths. How does that hit you? Because you show up on the scene, you know, and when these children are killed as well, I know it has to be very emotionally trying for you. So how do you deal with that?
It is, because I have a 10-year-old daughter, Journey, who's here with us, and I also have a 12-year-old son, Najee. And when these children are unfortunately murdered by these cowards, I think about my children, and I think about these parents who are grief-stricken and who need an advocate, someone to show up and say, no, we do care. You know, we do care. Black lives won't matter until we stop killing each other. So I want to make sure that I'm there, and you know, parents, our family members, our friends contact me via social media, and I've never refused a request to come help someone when they've asked me to come show up and help a family.
And what is the process too with the grief they're going through and dealing with it? Do you have something that you help with post an incident to stay with the family along?
I stick with the family, so we don't just show up when the cameras come. We're there for the families when the cameras leave, you know, forever. There's a lifelong bond of support they have. And I've been blessed to be able to work with Mayor Garcetti's office as a crisis responder under the leadership of Joe Avalos. So CRT, Crisis Response Team, we've been trained to help families deal with the trauma, the grief they're going through. So I utilize my job skills in the community as well.
That's so key. It's so important. People understand that it's a long process after the trauma happens. So it's great that you're doing that in addition to being there to support the wrongdoing in many cases and try to get justice served, right?
Well, I think it's important. I had the pleasure last week of being with Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, the parents of Trayvon Martin. His story is well known, but what inspired me also was the advocacy that the parents went through, making sure their deaf son, the death of their son was not forgotten, and they continue to be advocates. So they always inspire me whenever I see them, and other parents whose children have been murdered unjustly, but they continue to be advocates as well. So we're all in this together.
Right. Yeah. It's like whenever someone's afflicted with whether it be a crime incident, a death, or an illness, they then often become an activist for that and a voice to help prevent it from happening to other people. So,
I think that's important. That we all, give what we can get.
Yeah.
They didn't choose to be advocates; it was forced upon them by the unjustly murder.
On sad circumstances. Yeah.
Yes. But for whatever reason, they found that inner strength in them, in the tradition of Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till, and they've just been at the forefront in shining a light on the unjust killings.
Yeah, it's so sad. We see it much too often on television. We turn on the TV and, police incidents, someone running away with unarmed, the boy, I think it was Chicago, that was running at his grandmother's house. I mean, it just, do you see that coming to any justice, like not even justice, but to resolution, to have that stop? Is it where does that problem lie, do you feel?
I think the problem lies in the fact that with the change of culture of policing, because it's well known that black men, women, and children have been shot and murdered by police nationwide with no justice. Oftentimes, these officers don't even get arrested and prosecuted. And when they do, once or twice, they're found not guilty by these juries who let police execute these killers. So for me, I think at the end of the day, all police aren't bad, but it's that bad apples that give some police officers a bad name when they kill innocent black people.
Right, and it's sad too when these officers that actually handle situations properly, and some of them have been maybe killed or getting a lot of heat when they're not the one just because they have the uniform on.
Well, yeah, and that's not fair. So I always try to be fair and balanced. My sister's a police officer in Arizona. I have many friends who are in law enforcement with the LAPD and the sheriff's department, but I let them know I will support you when you do right, but if one of your officers do wrong, I'll be the first person to protest and speak out against it.
All right, you got someone who's going to stand up for your rights here. Yeah, I've watched him in action. He's definitely passionate. You're passionate. Do you feel a political a community activist has to be passionate about the cause? Or do you just have to not like the fact people are dying and wrong hands?
No, I think you have to be passionate. A friend of mine, also I work for his company, John Hope Bryant, founder of Operation Hope.
Yes.
He blessed me to be the community relations ambassador. He's been a mentor of mine for the past 20 years. He said, when you work your passion, it's not a job. So for me, working in the community on behalf of the people, on behalf of Operation Hope, to me, it's not a job. I'm blessed to get a paycheck and do the work. But I think once you find your passion, it becomes easy to do. So being a community activist is something you have to be passionate about if you're going to do it well.
If you want to do it well. Okay, So it's something deep inside of you. Did it happen back in Gary, Indiana, or did it happen once, while working with Jesse Jackson? Did something just hit you? Or at a very young age, did you find that you were very compassionate about circumstances when you'd watch the news as a teenager, let's say?
Well, Gary, Indiana is a 99% African-American city.
Yeah, with a lot of crime.
I grew up as Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher, the first black mayor. So growing up, I had a black mayor, black police chief, black principal, black classmates. My whole city was primarily black. I'm proud to say my cousin, Karen Freeman Wilson, is currently the mayor of Gary, Indiana.
Oh, nice.
So growing up, I was always instilled with black pride. Watching the Black Panthers on TV, seeing Cassius Clay change his name to Muhammad Ali, seeing that Black Power salute. So I've always had black consciousness.
So growing up, that was always a part of you, a strong part of you.
Listening to Motown music. We didn't hear Motown artists calling women bees in the H word. We didn't hear them glorifying gang violence. We heard Motown musicians singing about love, peace, and it was music that our children could listen to. So I've always had consciousness bred in me since growing up. So as an adult, I wanted to give back to my community, seeing how black people gave back to the community and helped inspire me.
I can understand that totally. So that it was almost like your upbringing just naturally puts you right into that because you had to care as a kid because everybody in Garyanda grew around the same thing, but they all didn't turn into a community activist.
Well, I think there was something in me that I give credit to my grandmother, rest in peace, is that she always volunteered for the NAACP, the political campaigns, and I saw the work she did in the community, being a person with the church every Sunday. So I admired her activism, and I just think that for me, I wanted to also be how she was as far as helping people.
That's what it gets. Okay, you had these role models around you, and you must have been a very inquisitive young man. You were paying attention to your surroundings and what was happening. Well,
I always ask questions, and I was always someone to speak up if I didn't understand something. So not to get into religion, but
what it is that you feel everyday people that are sitting on the side that aren't activists, but that are emotional when they see these stories, what is it that they can do to make a difference?
I think at the end of the day, they don't have to be activists, but there's several organizations in Los Angeles that they can make a small donation to, whether it's $5, $10, $20, or whether they can just support those organizations when they have annual fundraisers.
Okay.
So there are too many of them for me to mention, but
where will the money go though? To a variety of civil.
They should choose whatever nonprofit, church, mosque, synagogue they feel comfortable in making a donation to help the community, whatever they see on TV.
So anyone that's supporting the community, you feel that everyone should try to do their best to support those organizations?
Without question. And those black businesses that support those institutions, such as Dulan's Greg Dulan.
Oh, he does a tremendous amount of community work.
And he has great food. I'm looking right at it.
Do we have food from Dulan's coming out?
Dulan's.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Well, thank you. You want to give a wave?
Come wave, come wave,
oh
Greg.
Oh my God, this is Gregory Dulan.
Come closer, come in the screen. Bring your head down.
Come back. This is Gregory Dulan, the owner of Dulan's here in Crenshaw, and he's brought us a wonderful fried chicken with bell pepper platter. I love it. It looks gorgeous.
This is the king of soul food.
I know, exactly.
That's our best seller.
This is the best seller here.
And come in the screen.
That's our best seller. And I'm happy to have you guys here today.
Well, thank you for hosting us and opening your wonderful restaurant that has tasty food. That the smells are driving me crazy while I'm on the show because I want to eat, but I got to talk. But
if that gets heavy, you can put it right on the table there because we're going to bring out some more stuff.
This won't last long.
Yeah.
I wanted to go plate.
I don't eat meat though, so this is killing me. I want to lick it though. I would lick it up, so it's more chicken for you, but this looks so good. I eat bell peppers like crazy, though. Good. These look good, too. Very fresh bell peppers.
Now, what's the address?
Oh, my God, it smells so good. Seriously, when I set it down.
4859 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. 48th and Crenshaw.
Come on down, family. We're here now. Dulan's live.
Yum.
With Karla Gordy Bristol.
Yes, the smells brought us here. Now, that fried chicken smells so good. Seriously.
And I'm serious about my to-go plate.
Yes. The collard greens, I must say. I don't think I've ever walked in this door without my collard greens cornbread. It's just insanely good.
It is.
It's the secret recipe. You never share your recipes, do you?
Not with people I like.
It's all good. Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you hosting some food for us today and your space. I really encourage everybody, if you have not been here, I don't know, you must be far, far away, but if not, you got to come in. And if you have, come back and visit again. As we're saying, you got to support the community.
That's right.
And it's so important for this business to continue to stay. We got to keep coming back. You can't eat once a year. If it's good, come back quite often and enjoy it and share it with others. You know, when you have a big party at your house, you do catering. You do a lot of catering. You have a banquet room in the back, so
absolutely, yes.
A lot of parties. You can have a big wedding party here. There's all kind of things. They have space for so much. So I recommend it. I don't recommend anything I don't believe in. So you'll be satisfied and thank me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. We're going to segue from food back into community activism. I love it. Oh, it's so delicious, and we don't want any flies on it. I'm such a get away flies. Okay. I asked you a question. I hope we answered it. But I consider you to be very good. I consider you to be very fearless in what you do. Is that something that's a requirement? How can you be an activist out there speaking on the rights of people and seeking justice and not have that? Do you consider that you're fearless? Because it's not the easier, place to be.
At the end of the day, I feel I am fearless, and I'm not saying you have to be fearless, but it does help. I think it's important that if you're going to be an advocate for the people, you have to be a strong presence and a strong force, and you can't shy away from controversy or for standing up for what you believe in. So for me, I've always said I'd rather be that one person standing up by myself than be among the masses of people standing up for what's wrong.
Yeah. There are people that are followers, those that are doers, those that try to walk the fine line. They're afraid to go with their moral values and their passion because they think it might not be acceptable, but you do what you know is right.
I've always tried to do what is right, and the one thing God has blessed me with, having a circle of friends and family that know me and they love me, and they know at the end of the day, they stand with me no matter what people say, no matter what smear campaign. At the end of the day, my work and the fact they know me personally, it speaks for itself.
Well, you're in that position. Anytime anyone's in the public eye, don't I know it, that, especially when you're speaking up for rights of individuals, and with police and killings and getting justice, I mean, that puts anybody as a target. So anybody can understand that. And the fact that you are in that position, that's why I say you have to be fearless to deal with that. You can't be worried about what people are doing and saying because you have a mission.
Oh, not at all. And when I was a younger activist, of course, my feelings got hurt. Why are they lying on me and making up stuff? And this reporter actually told me this, never forgot it. He said, look, Najee, anytime you're at the forefront of the movement, you got to accept the crap that comes with it. So that stuck with me, and that's why I don't complain about it. I know it comes with the territory. I just keep fighting for the people. And the people know. They see who's doing what. And at the end of the day, the fact that the Mayor Garcetti, Congressman Karen Bass, I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, they're very supportive of you, and you were doing great things with them. Yeah,
and I continue to. So that speaks for itself.
That's awesome. I love it. Karen Bass is an amazing woman. And we'll get into this now while we're talking about her. My uncle Marvin Gaye, who was married to my aunt Anna Gordy Gaye, they named a post office after Uncle Marvin because somebody put the idea out there, and I think his name is Najee Ali, right?
Well, I don't want to take all the credit. I actually, worked with Ziola Gay, Marvin's baby sister.
Yes, his sister.
And we sent the proposal letter to Congressman Karen Bass.
How nice.
Who I'm lucky, she's my big sister. We've been close for like the last 20 plus years. She's like one of my best friends. So she said, look, Najee, we'll do this, but make sure you have community support as well.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, no problem. So of course, we sent the petition out. The next day we had several thousand petitions on social media saying we want a Marvin Gaye post office.
Really?
And that's how it started.
The next day?
Yeah.
You had 7,000 people that said, we want a Marvin Gaye post office.
If anyone think I'm exaggerating, go to my Facebook page.
Oh my goodness.
And that's how it got started. And then she made the introduction into Congress. And then it took a year, but it finally got voted in, approved, and signed into federal law by the president, who I'm not going to say his name, but
because the current president has to sign that.
Yes, but the current president did sign that law, so now it's a Marvin Gaye official post office.
That is fantastic, and it was signed about 2 weeks ago.
It was signed 2 weeks ago, so now I called Congresswoman Bass's office this week, and they're trying to set a date for this fall. Based on your calendar. I told them this is a blackout date.
I have to be there.
Yes, hopefully sometime late October, early November, we'll have the rededication ceremony, and we will celebrate Marvin Gaye's continued legacy of greatness.
So wonderful, so wonderful. And it's funny because when we arrived here, what was playing about 5 minutes after I got here, Uncle Marvin was playing. I was like, oh, there we go. I felt perfectly at home, and it was so perfect because you having done this and sent that letter in, because in life people can think of ideas all day long. I'm sorry, there's a fly in here. We got the windows open and it's very nature centered, but we could think of things, but it's those that move forward with making something happen. And like you say, you're an activist, you believe in getting things done. So an idea hits, you took action, and I thank you for doing that?
I think it was the right thing to do because I can remember watching, I'm a big movie fan, I saw Captain America, the Winter Soldier at the movies.
Yes.
And at the end of the movie, the Falcon, Captain America's partner, gives Captain America a tape cassette of music. And he's trying to bring Captain America back to what's going on in current America. He said, Captain, listen to this music right here. It will bring you up to date on everything you've missed since you've been gone. The music that the Falcon gave Captain America at the movie was Marvin Gaye's music. And I was like almost in tears, thinking, man, Marvin Gaye's legacy still lives on today.
Absolutely, in Captain America.
In Captain America, the movie.
That's right.
So
it brought him back. That's a powerful song, you know. Whoever, the fact that they got that song. My cousin Marvin Gaye, are you watching? My cousin, look at that. That's some good royalties right there.
Yeah, hey, we did it.
Yeah. I was texting with him today, actually. But shout out to my cousin Marvin Gaye III. Love you much, darling. You know it. And he'll.
I'd like you to accept my friend request. I sent you a friend request the other day.
Don't call my cousin out on my show.
Just kidding.
That I can't allow that. I love my cousin. We don't call out people. So, because I've got about 1,500 friend requests I need to jump on, so it's not, intentional. Sometimes you're just busy, and it takes a while.
Oh no, definitely.
That's some time-consuming stuff.
Yes.
But I do plan. I talked to him about the date you're trying to assign, and we're going to try to be there and have support for this because it's really meaningful, and it's not something that's easy to make happen. So, Karen Bass, on behalf of my family, thank you so much for all that you did to make this happen as well. And all those signatures from the community is so key. Without that, it would not have progressed forward. So we really appreciate and thank that. Okay, I see what you're saying here. The flies are on the chicken. Get away. Okay, so I wanted to make sure people knew about that. You've been arrested. It just comes with it. People back in the day, you get arrested when you're an activist, when you're supporting something, when you believe in a cause, you're in the street sometime to protest a killing or a shooting. You've had that happen. You go out there to make a stance with the community. So people just get arrested because they won't leave the street. I mean, silly things. But how many times has that happened to you when you're out there trying to fight for a cause?
Several times over the years.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, historically, we all know that Dr. King, Reverend Abernathy, all those
leaders were arrested.
They were arrested, put in jail for what they believed in.
Jesse Jackson, many times.
All of them. Reverend Al Sharpton, a lot of the civil rights leaders were arrested, put in jail for their beliefs. So I always said to myself, as a young person, I got arrested for stupid stuff. Just stupid stuff, being honest, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But once I became more mature and older, I realized if I'm going to get arrested, let it be for a righteous cause.
Right.
So now I'm arrested for protesting things I believe in, and I have no regrets whatsoever because black people and all different races of people died so we could live a better life here in America.
So many did. It's just sad, the numbers. Yeah, so that comes with the territory. How is it? What's the longest you had to stay in there for one of those rallies?
Honestly, about 8 or 9 hours.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like we had to spend the night.
Yeah.
But the fact that we were still handcuffed, had to sit in the police chair. It's not a pleasant feeling either, being confined.
Right. Do they usually keep the group together that was protesting when people? I always wonder that, right? Do you ever wonder on the news, you see protesters and they arrest them peacefully?
Usually they'll separate the men and women, obviously. But one time in Riverside, 1999, Taisha Miller was shot and killed in Riverside by the police unjustly. And actually one of my favorite moments of activism, we all got arrested, about 25 of us protesting. But for the first time, they had men and women in one holding cell for about an hour. But in that holding cell was like a who's who of civil rights. I was in the jail cell with Dick Gregory.
Oh my gosh.
Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, Kim Fields, the actress, and a host of community activists who were very active 20 years ago. Right. So as a young activist, I'm sitting to myself, damn, I'm in jail with Dick Gregory.
Right.
Martin Luther King III.
Right, exactly.
So I will cherish that moment of activism.
Imagine.
Being locked up and sitting next to Dick Gregory.
So was everybody kind of talking about what happened, or just kind of
we were talking about what happened, but Dick Gregory gave one of the most inspirational speeches where we knew this wasn't for the media. We weren't playing. We were dead serious about this young black girl being murdered, and Dick being an icon just gave us a history of the movement.
Right.
And many people were like in tears. And you could see the passion in Dick Gregory's face. And I never forget that moment, Karla.
Wow. I guess that let everybody know what we're doing is right. You know, it really justified the actions and being there. I'm sure everybody was proud to be in there together for what they did.
We were, and the fact that for an hour we were like lodged up together, men and women, which was very unusual.
Right.
It was something that we will never forget.
I'm sure. Goodness, you have some great experiences, and in doing some really powerful things. You know, people don't understand behind the scenes what happens and how that empowered all of you to go out there and do more work. Yeah, that's pretty good. I've never been arrested for anything, but you know, standing up for something right. I have thought many times about going out and laying on the street. I've seen people do that, and I was like, I want to go lay on the street. You know?
I wouldn't advise that. No, we all have different gifts that God gives us.
Yeah.
That's not your lane.
Yeah.
Your lane is bringing forth information and what you do in your life that inspires people, and just little things that you do and that I've seen you. I'm like, hey, that's my friend. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I saw you dancing in this video. I was at home. I think it was Lionel Richie. And I'm like, that's Karla Gordy. She's in a Lionel Richie video. I mean, who does that? So we all have, you know, different gifts that God gives us.
Yeah. Yes, I had a long career as a professional dancer and choreographer. Yes. So yeah, there are plenty of footage out there on that. So.
Yes. And I have two left feet. I can't dance. So you know.
Everybody has a lane. I get it. I get it. And I still love to dance. No, that's funny. And then when you moved here, you moved to South Central.
Yes.
What took you to South Central? I mean, you know.
Well, leaving Gary, Indiana, my grandmother lived in South Central LA. So that's where I learned pretty much the streets and then how to navigate them. But I'm grateful because at the end of the day, Gary, Indiana and South Central gave me a certain toughness, a certain way of being streetwise. But I'm always proud to say I've been everywhere, you know, from the streets of South Central LA to the White House, and carried myself in a way that I never embarrassed my community.
How many presidents have you met?
Clinton, Bush, Obama. And my Obama story is I actually worked on Obama's campaign when I lived in Chicago, 2003. Okay. I met him before he was famous. No one knew him. In fact, the staff asked me to help do a fundraiser in West Hollywood with Chris Tucker and others. So that time, Chris Tucker, you know, Rush Hour,
he was on
famous.
fire. Yeah,
so Chris Tucker was the famous one. And then I would say after me, I was, you know, right after Chris and Obama, no one knew him, so we took a picture together. So everybody was saying, hey, Najee, you with Chris Tucker? Who was that tall guy? You know,
Who's that tall guy now?
Yeah, because no one knew who Obama was in that picture. And then a few months later, he spoke at the Democratic Convention.
That was it.
And then he blew up. And then we were at the office saying, hey, Barack, you know, gave this great speech. So everyone kind of knew his name then.
They were like, that tall man in your picture?
Yes.
He's talking at the convention
now. And now he's more famous than you are, Najee. It's Chris and Obama.
And Chris Tucker, right.
You're third now.
And then he passed up Chris Tucker, too,
And then he made this announcement that he was going to run for president. So immediately, I was like, I'm with you. Karen Bass said the same thing. So we were some of the first California leaders to endorse Obama.
And support him.
On this campaign, raise money and support him against Mrs. Clinton, who had a lot of support as far as the old guard of black leaders at that time.
Absolutely did,
And luckily, we were on the right side of history. So I'm blessed to say that, hey, I actually know a United States president personally.
That's right. And to know him before he became president and to help him become president.
Well, that was something I think that's important, that black people support other black people.
Yeah, it's true. You know? I don't know why some people run from that. I don't know. I think it's society maybe. Do they feel that it won't look good or people will judge them because they do? Why feel bad about supporting?
Yeah, and I have no regrets. So I'm not going to say any names, call people out, but at the end of the day, the black leadership, congressional leadership, and those other black leaders supporting Clinton at that time, they found themselves to be on the wrong side of history. So going forward, I just encourage, support your own people. It's not against. It's not that you're against other races. You just want to support your own. The fact that we're at a black-owned restaurant, it's great.
I'm happy. I want to see more soul food restaurants, though. I say this to a lot of people quite often. You see a lot of Mexican restaurants. You see a lot of Thai restaurants, a lot of Chinese restaurants, a lot of, Italian restaurants. Why don't we see a lot of soul food restaurants or African restaurants or whatever it may be? That really, really bothers me. It's just, ugh. And then when you do have one, this is a very nice, pleasant space. Why can't they be upscale? And why can't they have chains?
Yes.
I go to several chain Mexican restaurants. I'm not going to name them all, but I love it. I love it. Italian, all this stuff. But what is it about our food that can't be around all the communities?
Well, I think we just have to change the mindset and the culture of our people, because at the end of the day, our food is just as delicious as Chinese food, Italian food.
I love it all.
And other foods. So just a mindset that we have to get out of and help change the culture.
Change the culture.
Yes.
I don't know, but you got to support each other. Like I said, you got to come support this restaurant. You got to support restaurants, and that's, I think, what happens. People open them, but they don't last.
And that's true, Karla, and that's why I think it's very important that we change the mindset. Because for me, if I have a chance to eat a black-owned restaurant, that's nice, I'll go there first.
Yeah. I'm very supportive of businesses. I would drive over here because I live on the other side of town, but I would drive over here and always come. I can't come close to Crenshaw and not. Sorry, there is a fly that's just loving on me right now.
You smell good.
I do have some perfume on.
That's what it is. You smell good.
It's my perfume, and it's this fried chicken sauce that you're smelling. Tell me about what recently happened to Joan Davis. This is a recent story, right?
Yes.
And I saw you in the news on this. So what's going on with that?
Wow. She was unfortunately struck and killed last week at night crossing the street, 81st Central Avenue in South Central LA.
Okay.
And the driver did not stop. In fact, dragged her 3 or 4 blocks down the street. And she died instantly. So we are calling for justice for Joan Davis.
Yeah.
I was with the family today at a press conference I helped organize. Just calling for justice because she was a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. No one deserves to die in the streets that way.
No. But I want our audience, some just don't understand what that means because they feel like, okay, if someone got killed, it's so tragic, so sad, and I feel for the family and the way she died. You would think then that the police are going to do their investigation and justice will be served. So why is the need for this, push in front of the media to say we want justice? Isn't that what's going to happen, or is there something that we don't know?
Malcolm X said you get justice when you demand justice, when you fight for it, when you do anything you need to get it. We just can't expect the police to do their job sometimes without being pushed. Great example is the Trayvon Martin story, which is being shown nationwide on TV now. And it showed part 1 how his killer was free for 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't until we started protesting nationwide till he was finally arrested after killing an unarmed teen. So we just know here locally that there are many unsolved murders, primarily of black people throughout the city of Los Angeles. Their killers are walking free amongst us today. So when we do press conferences and protests, it's to not let that person's death be forgotten and swept under the rug. We want to keep bringing light and attention to the person's murder or the tragedy. But
is it because the woman was black? You feel like the police aren't going to do as good a job, and that's why we need to come out because it has to. Because to me, I'm thinking, and most people watching the TV would be like, it's sad that that happened. Well, I'm sure justice will be served because that's the way our system is set up to go. But by us having to rally and come out and march and that's saying, I don't think you guys are going to do your job at the police station and investigate this and find the person. So that's what I'm trying.
No, well, I think at the end of the day, we can't allow people to become lackadaisical in what they do. We have to push them sometimes to make sure they give it all they can.
Okay.
So that's why we just also, the protests and the press conferences is not against the police. It's also to raise awareness in the community of what happened. In case someone knows something, please come forward and contact the police. I
got that, definitely. Yeah. And I'm thinking also it's supporting the police.
Yes.
By saying we're here to create a voice that maybe people will.
Can you take that?
Yeah, the flies are eating it up.
Thank you.
So we want to cover it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe that'd be nice. Yeah, a little bit. Thank you. No ice. Thank you. They're so nice.
I love Dulans.
I know. They're just like helping us over here. No, I totally get that because when you said it, I was just thinking something as simple as someone going to the hospital. If you don't have a lot of support, you assume the doctor may not do the best job, right?
Well,
the
that's
more
the-
family they show, friends around that come up to visit you, they'll be like, oh, we really need to do everything we can to help save this person because they have such a support system.
Well-
when they don't, maybe they'll focus more on another patient. That's I feel that way. I'm like, everybody, if I'm sick, come, show that I got family, I got people.
But I
But
think in society, across all spectrums, if you know you have an extra set of eyes on you, you're going to be more cognizant. You're going to do a little bit better.
right, that's kind of, so that, yeah. I wanted to get to it so people can understand, because I just know a lot of people see that and they just mean, oh, they're out there protesting, or they're, upset about another person dying. Why are they out there doing it? I really want people to understand why people do that.
They'll understand it if it happens to their family.
They will.
Which unfortunately I hope it doesn't. But you never know when tragedy will hit you. You never
Yeah, I mean,
know.
a woman's walking across the street.
Yes.
Walking across the street. I mean, when I walk, I continually am turning my head and looking. But even then, if someone's speeding and they just turn the curb, it's really, sometimes you can't get away from it. So, okay, well, again, prayers for the Joan Davis family. Now, tell me about Sharice's law. A little bit about that and how it came about. It's a law that Mayor Garcetti actually. No? Oh, it's
this
way
is
back.
20 years ago.
Okay, this is an old one. I'm getting it mixed up.
But briefly,
It's hot
Sharice-
in LA.
Sharice Iverson was probably the first case that brought me national attention.
Right.
May 25th, 1997, Sharice Iverson from my neighborhood, 7-year-old child, was kidnapped, raped, tortured, and murdered in a bathroom in a Las Vegas casino.
I remember that.
Yes. And I was a young activist.
I
and,
remember that. Oh my
so
goodness.
we
That
were
was
out-
20 years ago.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago. So we were outraged, and she was from my neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So I felt compelled to help the family and organize rallies on their behalf, demanding justice for Sharice.
Yes.
And then the other co-conspirator, David Cash, who witnessed Sharice's murder, could have helped stop it, but walked out the bathroom. And then when the killer came out, Jeremy Strohmeyer, he asked what happened to that little N-word girl.
Yes.
So he said, I killed her. But Cash was eventually not charged with any crime. So I asked him that with the district attorney, but why isn't he charged with an accomplice on the accessory to this child's rape and murder? He said, well, he didn't do anything, but watch. So
What?
no, I'm serious. So
I can't believe this.
no, this is true history. You can
I
Google.
believe
Google
you,
Sharice
but I
Iverson.
can't believe.
No.
I believe it, but I can't believe it.
It was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how black people viewed
Got
it
it,
even,
yeah.
even then. Her life had no value, no meaning.
Yeah, exactly. So he watched it. He didn't touch,
Yeah. So I said, you know what? We're going to do the same thing that white parents do, white advocates do when their children are murdered unfairly, like Polly Klaus, Megan's Law. I got together with then State Senator Tom Hayden, rest in peace, and wrote the first draft of what we call Sharice's Law, which makes it a criminal penalty if you witness a child being sexually assaulted or abused. You must report the crime.
Or you're an accessory.
You are an accessory, you can be criminally charged. So that law eventually got signed into state law 2 years later by then Governor Gray Davis.
Okay.
The governor of Nevada signed it a year before. So at the end of the day, I was able to get 2 state laws passed in a black child's name, the Sharice Iverson Law, which was the first law in history named after a slain black child.
Really?
So that was really my most greatest moment of
That's
community
great.
activism.
Yeah.
And not to brag, but my wife actually reminded me once the president signed the Marvin Gaye federal post office bill in the law. She said, hey, you got 3 laws that you champion into law. 2 different states, 1 federal law now. That's 3. So I thought about like, you know what? That's kind of hard to do for an
Yes.
activist. And Dr. King and them, they got 1 law, the federal law passed, which we celebrated this week, the Voting Rights Act.
Right, yes.
But I'm proud.
That's awesome.
So yeah, well, I
Congratulations.
think about thank
Give
you.
him a pat. He's working hard in here. Getting laws passed and all,
But
and
Karla,
making a difference. I love it.
That's the most important thing I tell these young activists. You can yell, scream all you want, but until you change public policy, like Dr.
Yes,
King
right.
and then we're doing, You're
Yeah,
not doing
nothing's going to
nothing.
change.
You're making noise.
Nothing will change.
So
You
I've
have
always
to change
said
the law.
from the beginning, we got to change the law.
Right.
And that's why Trayvon Martin and this man was killed last week in Florida because of this stupid stand the ground law.
Yes.
Until we change laws, nothing's going to change.
They can get away with people can get away with it. Yeah. There's
Yes.
so many things I wish there was laws for that I always say there should be a law against that. There should be a law for the people feel too comfortable.
Yes.
I wish I was like an undercover cop sometimes because you see people doing things, you're like, really? You're just going to do that, like it's nothing. No, that's good. You should be very proud of that. Your wife is right. Keep going. 3 more. 3 more laws, Najee.
No.
3 more laws.
No. One is hard enough. But honestly, I give all the credit to God.
Yeah.
When I
Well,
thought
you're
of-
young. You got time. You still got some years on you.
Well, I do, but honestly, I just give all the credit to God because
Yeah.
I feel like this. It's not me. God's just using me to get things done, to show people that this young man, this poor kid grew up on welfare, poverty, but at the end of the day is now an adult trying to help people. If he can do it,
Right.
anybody can do it. Because at the end of the day, anybody could have contacted Karen Bass and say, hey,
Just
can we
reach
get
out.
this Marvin Gaye post office? And she'd have been
All
like,
you-
yeah, let's do it.
All you got to do is ask.
You gotta do is
and know
ask.
who to ask. And, all of our political leaders, they're there. Just send them an email.
Yes.
All they can do is say no.
Right.
And then you go back again. You keep trying.
Yeah.
Don't let no stop you if you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You've worked with nationally celebrated figures. I got this off the internet, I did my little research. So you tell me kind of how you worked with them, if it's true or not. You mentioned President Barack Obama.
True.
Okay.
You can find a picture on my website,
Okay.
NajeeAli.com.
You work with, so we're going to do a fact, yes and no. Fact check moment. Reverend Al Sharpton, you mentioned. You did.
Yes.
Martin Luther King III, you
Yes.
mentioned when you were working.
A good friend of mine. We're all in the same jail cell together in Riverside.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Dick Gregory, you mentioned. You guys,
Yes.
this sounds like the posse. What jail cell was this?
Oh, Riverside.
We're
We
going
were
to
all
call this the
holding
Riverside
cell.
Posse. That should be a movie. I see the Riverside Posse that got locked up in jail for an hour.
Yeah, for an hour.
I think someone should write that
With
script.
actress Kim Fields.
With Kim Fields. That's a great little posse.
Yeah.
I think someone should do that story. Call it the Riverside Posse that got arrested for 1 hour doing community activism.
But all I could think about was, what if someone has to use the restroom before they come let us out? Because there was men and women in the same holding cell.
Gonna be a little embarrassing moment there, I guess. A lot of congressional leaders you've worked with. Karen Bass, and you were very strong now, but you've worked with many. Mark Ridley Thomas, right?
Supervisor, longtime friend, back from when he was a city council person to state rep to now supervisor. So we kind of have watched him develop. He's watched me develop. So I'm proud to say that supervisor has been a longtime friend and supportive of mine. I support him and his son, Sebastian.
That's right. Sebastian's out doing great things. And then, of course, our mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti.
Mayor, longtime friend. And it's funny how we met. His father was Gil Garcetti, a former prosecutor. And Eric walked up to me when his father was running for re-election and asked me to endorse his father. And I'm assuming Eric had saw me all over the news after Streets of Iverson was murdered. And then, I looked at him. I was like, this is a nice young man. So I was like, you know what? I don't endorse like prosecutors, so I can't do it. But he understood. But then when he ran for city council, after he volunteered 2001 for his first city council race, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh, that's great. You established a relationship before he became mayor then.
Well, actually, I tell any young activist, if you really want to have a relationship with people, help them when they need it.
Yeah.
Don't ask for favors once people get in office
That's right.
or once they become famous, because
true.
then your chances
true.
of getting it granted is going to be hard to get.
So true. So true. That's great, though, that you've worked with such powerful people and help. And then you got Michael Jackson, I saw. What did you do with Michael Jackson?
Well, we don't really talk about that.
Okay.
But actually, I was an advocate for Michael when he was falsely accused of some things.
Oh, okay.
So I'm proud to say,
So you were
the Jackson
involved.
family contacted me because they saw me in the news, and then we're from Gary, Indiana, the same hometown. So
It was a perfect fit.
It was a perfect fit.
That's
and
great.
I was able to
you were very
organize
vocal
and
about
speak
that.
out. So I'm proud to say that I had a chance to meet Michael, go to Neverland and organize things on his behalf. where he was found not guilty of all charges.
Fantastic.
So I'm blessed to say I had a chance to meet, take pictures, and if nothing else, be with, in my opinion, the greatest entertainer on the planet Earth.
Absolutely. I second that.
A Motown child.
And he's family through marriage. So his brother Jermaine was married to my cousin, so we grew up as family. So all of them are close to us. And so when it's, thank you.
No, well, I
ain't thanking you for helping, doing things for my family. You know, what's going on?
Well, you know, thank God for Michael Jackson, because his, like Marvin, his creative genius, legacy will never leave this earth.
No.
So I love Michael Jackson and the Jackson family and make no apologies about it.
Yeah, and they're still touring. You can catch the Jacksons touring the world. They're everywhere, touring all the time. Let me see. There's a lot of black on black killings. Why are blacks killing blacks in such high numbers?
Well, I think the same reason why there's white on white killings, Asian on Asian killings, Latino. You kill people, unfortunately, based on the proximity of where you live in.
Got it.
Unfortunately, black on black violence and murders is always highlighted in the media negatively.
So it's really not as bad, you're saying, than what the media is making it look like.
I think it's disproportionate.
Okay.
And I think a great example this past weekend, we saw in Chicago, at least 50 people were shot. Mostly black people shooting other black people.
Other blacks. Yeah.
12 people died. And I know this from reading the LA Times, crime is still down though, to a lower level than it has been in previous years. So yes, we had an unfortunate spike in crime, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Well, how do we stop it? How do we prevent this? Is it the mindset? Is it where people are growing up? Like you said, they're in the proximity. But how can we get them to value each other and see the importance of more black lives living and being successful?
We have to change the culture with young people. I think it's not one thing that contributes to it. I think it's a combination of things. And people who are artists sometimes get upset with me saying this, but I think they have to take responsibility for what they put out there, such as these lyrics glorifying and encouraging black on black murder. And I've said this for like the last 20 years. And, you know, I protested, I'm not going to say their names, but certain rap artists.
Oh, you protested the rap?
I protested them in LA outside the radio stations, you know, back in the day, because how can you glorify gang violence, black on black murder, yet, you know, you want to sell these albums and these CDs and think we should support you. You got to be called out.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
You know, so I've done it. Now, realistically, it's probably went in one ear and out the other because it hasn't stopped anything.
I think the lyrics have changed for some, but then you get more artists that come out.
Right.
You know, now the older rappers are toning down that, but then the young rappers that are new coming out, they're bringing more of it back.
And you're right, Carla. There's one name I do know I can say because he said it publicly and mentioned it, Ice Cube, whose lyrics were kind of raunchy out there early on in his career. But then I saw an interview, he said that as he got older and became a father himself, he did tone it down. Yeah. Makes these family movies, and his whole career is much different now.
He did change things, his dynamic, and he's with the same wife from all these years, and his family's a great person. And yeah, I that's a perfect example. But sometimes, like you say, so that's maybe what you can role model it after. Someone like him who in his younger years, that's what he knew. So that's what he sang about.
Yes.
But then as he got older and more aware, then he was able to realize, and personal experiences with his own family, to change it. So it sounds like it has to be something that you feel in your heart to want to do because you can relate, and something that drives you to do that and that you're created awareness for. So why don't we find ways, or is it being done where more awareness is getting out to the neighborhoods of teaching them what this is doing and why it's wrong, and then also making them feel compassionate and realize that this is affecting your family and your siblings and your children and so forth.
Yes, I think hope's on the horizon because there is this one young artist who I admire greatly, and I have listened to his music, which I don't really listen to rap, hip hop anymore. But Kendrick Lamar,
I love
is
Kendrick
someone
Lamar's,
who I love.
He's very deep,
admire, and I look up to. So I think it's going to be those young artists like
Chance the Rapper.
Yes, another role model.
And he has a little girl that he looks up to, and he's raising, and he's now engaged, and so he's already now got a family, and it means something to him, I think, in his lyrics.
So those are the two artists I can quickly point out who are changing the paradigm. And I think we are on a path of consciousness and enlightenment, and better music, better lyrics, a better message for all young people.
Right. Well, of course, like you mentioned, my family's company, Motown, was able to put out remarkable music that changed the face of the world, and civil rights. It changed as well, but the lyrics were good lyrics about love and family, and Uncle Marvin sang about war and the hardship and things going on. But the women weren't B's and H's and stuff. So
yes,
it can be done, and you can create something. I was telling someone this, and I'm getting off side, but there's pop, R&B, rock, and there's Motown. It's like it's a sound. It's not a So if you can do that, you can make rap.
Not only was Motown a sound, but it was also a culture where we see these different rap artists fighting and beefing with each other. Right. But back in the day, we never saw the Temptations fighting the Four Tops.
Competing.
You didn't see the Commodores like, I'm going to get you, Jackson 5, after the concert. There was
friendly competition within Motown.
Yes.
But it was friendly competition, and it wasn't an angry, violent type competition. Yes. So you're right, I don't see why today music has to be about violence and an unfriendly, angry, where some people end up getting killed over it. It's just, okay. This is a whole issue for the show right there, and we're both getting a little heated. I see. How do you stay calm and your heart stay well with all this community? Because the passion that comes out of it, and the heartache and the despair, I would go home every day stressed out, and be like, oh my God.
I'm blessed to come home to my loving wife, Lisa.
Yes.
My 10-year-old beautiful daughter, Journey. And I believe in self-care, because honestly, with working with the mayor's crisis response team, I see death every day. Then working and helping the community, I see death and murder every day. Yeah. So for me, I have to come home to peace and solitude. You got
to balance that.
And then, I have to have vacations, like going to Vegas to see Anita Baker.
That'll be fun.
At the end of the month.
So you just kind of release from it. You have a balance. You have to do that,
Yes.
And you find it's important, because you do need those breaks.
Definitely.
You get tense. You get fired up.
And I have friends I can call, talk to. So I'm grateful to have a great family and friend network.
How often do you say things in the heat? Because it gets heated. People get angry. People's opinions cause anger. And I'm sure you've had to get angry sometimes. How do you tone that down, and how many times you say something that you want to take back, and are you able to apologize later sometimes and recognize if maybe you may have said something, because you get caught up?
No, of course, in my younger days, I've said some things, probably done some things that, wow, I wish I could have handled that situation a better way. Like, wow, I wish I hadn't told the congressional person off. But when you're young and hot-headed, but your heart's in the right place, but your tactics may not be mature enough, you're going to make some mistakes.
Absolutely.
As an adult, I'm very mindful of what I say and what I do, because I do know people are watching. And if you make a mistake or do something wrong, first thing they're going to do is call the mayor's office. They're going to call the congressman's office, say, hey, isn't that your guy? So I'm very cognizant that people are watching everything I do, everything I say, even what I post on social media.
I got it. Yeah. No, it's a difficult position to be in, to make such a big difference that you're doing.
You grew up with Gordy, so you know firsthand
I know.
what I'm saying.
It's kind of living in a bubble, right?
Yes.
We're going to start wrapping up, everybody. I know we've gone in overtime. I don't even know if you can tell me what time it might be.
6:30.
Oh, we're just rolling. It's a good long show. Huh? You guys enjoying it? I want to just find out a little bit here on what your thoughts about the Trayvon Martin story. I know you were very involved, very, very involved in standing up for what happened to him. But then the TV story came out. Do you think it was an accurate depiction and well done? Or
very much so. I saw part one. I actually had the pleasure of Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina, contacted me and invited me to the premiere in Venice at Google. So I saw it with her and Tracy and other VIPs who were invited. And I put it on Facebook so Sabrina knows. I actually walked out twice because I was overcome with emotion, crying.
Wow.
So for me, it was hard to watch. And then I'm Facebook friends with Sabrina, so she put out a post Monday afternoon asking us to please watch it, no matter how painful it is, and reminding us that no one suffered more pain than her and her husband did.
That's true.
So I encourage everyone to watch it, support the Trayvon Martin Foundation.
I haven't seen it. I'm going to watch it for sure.
You'll be in tears, but at the end of the day...
The Trayvon Martin Foundation. I'm sorry, I cut you off when you were saying it.
His story is something that should not be forgotten. The fact that this child was murdered, and the murderer just got away and walked away free.
No, he's guilty of walking at night going to get some candy.
Some Skittles and some tea.
I mean, that's just a shame. And you were by their side during the trial?
No, I wasn't in the trial in Florida, but the LA protest.
Okay, the LA
Most
protest.
of the major ones in Leimert Park, I was the lead organizer and was the first one in LA to draw attention to what was going on in Florida, because I saw something on the internet about this kid being murdered. So I was like, what's going on?
Right.
So we began to organize, and eventually the whole nation started protesting at different cities.
Who knew it was going to be that big?
Yeah, we had no idea. So eventually it got known across the whole world to now his story is told now. It won't be forgotten.
And Rodney King, during the LA riots, everybody knows about the Rodney King story and all. Now, did you know him personally? I saw some pictures of you. You just met him?
No, it's funny because most of the people that I've met and taken photos with, I don't meet them until something's happened where I come to help out, organize.
You're out there on the scene.
Or they ask me in the scene, and then they're grateful later on, and they're appreciative, just such as like Sabrina, Trayvon's mother.
Right.
When I was diagnosed with cancer, fighting for my life, I got home and found out that she had sent me this big, beautiful fruit basket. And I was like in tears, like,
wow.
Trayvon Martin's mother sent me this? You know, so it showed me a lot of how her character.
Yeah, that's so kind.
That she had enough time to give back to someone who wasn't looking for anything from her, who just wanted to help her son and her family.
She appreciates what you did to help create the voice for her son.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I had no idea. So I'm grateful to have those types of friendships that turn into relationships that are lasting, as far as you guys being connected some shape, form, or fashion.
Right.
Even the Jackson family, now your family, the Marvin Gaye Post Office, to Rodney King's family. So
you've touched a lot of powerful groups and making a difference. So keep doing it. Keep doing it. Colin Kaepernick, you know, people are losing the reason why he took his knee. And I know I saw a lot of posts from you. It's even on your website with the Colin Kaepernick. So can you know, we're rounding down, so let's keep it kind of brief, but give me a little bit of what it really was about and for, and why people should understand that, because they're losing the message of what he was.
They have to understand briefly that Colin Kaepernick was an NFL star quarterback who went to a Super Bowl. He is someone who took a knee to highlight the social injustice of black men, women, and children being murdered by police nationwide, and nothing happening to those police officers.
So mainly to create the awareness, like this is what's happening, and I'm watching, and I want everybody to know that it impacts me. That's what he's kind of saying. It hurts me, and I want everybody to stand up.
He took a knee to protest those murders. It had nothing to do with the flag. Colin respects the flag.
That's right.
This is what we all do.
Yeah, he probably wasn't even thinking about the flag when he
he was simply using this platform, such as other athletes like Ali, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, to show that these black people are people being murdered unfairly.
It was ridiculous. A lot of people were being murdered, so someone had to do something. Yeah,
and then for the president and others use it to turn it around to make it something else, like they're disrespecting the flag. And it could be nothing but further than the truth.
Right. That's true. Yeah. I guess because he took that moment to do it, maybe.
Well, I think the fact that...
But it has to do something with it, because we're pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States, and so he probably was disappointed with the United States.
Well, I think Kaepernick highlighted the hypocrisy of white America. The fact that they can say what they want to say with no consequences, but black people can't have a voice to speak out against social injustice when our people are being murdered.
Right.
So for me, Kaepernick is one of the most courageous individuals in our lifetime, and most of us don't even realize the sacrifice, because
huge.
This guy was a multi-millionaire quarterback. He wasn't in jeopardy.
Right.
If he
hadn't have taken a knee, his career,
and now his career is over. So for me, I'm proud to say in LA, I led all the protests outside the Coliseum in support of Kaepernick and what he took a knee for, and those protests will continue. The first Rams preseason game, we'll be back outside to draw awareness to what Kaepernick is going through, and the fact that black people are still being murdered across America with no consequences.
No consequences. So if you want to take part in some of the Los Angeles groups, you can reach out to Najee Ali, and he'll let you know when they're happening, and you can come out and, you know, show your feelings about what's happening and stand your ground, basically, is what it is, right?
It's important.
Yeah. Wow. And in the Colin case, it's the liberty and justice for all is part of the song. So he's just exercising,
His
you know,
First
he's part of the
Amendment
all.
rights,
Yeah.
which is in the Constitution.
He's part of all. So it didn't make sense. Yeah. My mother's very passionate. Miss Iris Gordy. You get in a conversation, you should call Mom one day, and you guys will have a serious Colin Kaepernick discussion, and she is so passionate. I have to calm her down, like, okay, Mom, it's going to be okay. She goes, but that's just not really, she does not like it, because she says people miss the reason. Thank you, that we did get this, but thank you. The meaning, they're just so amazing here. They're making sure we're okay out here in the patio. But the meaning behind what he did, the people are losing it in the media and so forth. So yeah, she's passionate about it. I think now I'm going to wind it down, because you have answered everything. So I'm going to have you tell me a little bit about Raising Hell, a life of activism. Raising Hell, in the picture on the book cover, this is the book you wrote, has fire flames, and it's pretty intense.
Well, real briefly, I also give credit to the graphic designer who made the cover.
I will give it, because that book cover is beautiful.
Her name is Arnetta Mack, Mack Enterprises.
Okay.
She does great work, so she's responsible for the cover.
But you're raising hell, apparently.
Yes.
You're raising hell. So.
And briefly, Raising Hell was a accurate depiction, in my own words, of my life's journey of coming from Gary, Indiana, to moving to South Central LA, to meeting and actually, you know, knowing people such as Michael Jackson, President Barack Obama, being mentored by Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and other figures in the movement, to saying that I'm proud to say my big sister is a U.S. Congressmember, Karen Bass, to having my cousin being the mayor of my hometown now, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson. So it tells my life story. Okay. And I think that's important that everyone tell their life story, because everyone has a story to tell.
I say that all the time. I say that all the time. I had a guest on, last season, and she helps publish books, self-published books for people. And I said on the show, everybody has a story to tell. So get it. I told my audience, get your story told.
Definitely.
I love it. And that's why I'm here, letting people share parts of their story with everybody, because it really has some great things there. Goodness, there's so much to talk about with you. We could go on, but I think we need to end it on you telling me what your legacy will be. What goals do you want to still accomplish? Because you've accomplished plenty. And what do you want the legacy of Najee Ali to be?
Honestly, I can just say my legacy is one that I grew up in poverty, made mistakes when I was young, but at the end of the day, I tried to overcome my mistakes, my obstacles, and try to help people in our community do better, live better, have a better quality of life, and come to the aid of those who needed me most and be their champion. So for me, my legacy is one that may be flawed, but at the end of the day, I can say that I was sincere. I've always been sincere about helping my people in the community that needed it most and being there when they called me to be there. So I want to thank you, Karla, for giving me this platform to share part of my story.
I'm so happy to give you the platform to do it, and I thank you for taking time to share these wonderful stories, because it can be touchy for some people because they just don't understand it. And I believe in educating, inspiring, motivating my audience. We're all smart, we're sharp-minded, but we sometimes don't get the whole picture. And I want them to get the picture. And I think you really helped break it down. So next time you see an activist out on the street or a killing, and you'll see this one on the news, because he's on the news quite often, out there with the crowd when there's a killing of any black person in the community. You show up, you get in that car and you show up for the family and you speak out. And so it will give people an understanding on why you do that and what it means, and they won't dismiss it as a negative, because it's not. It's a very positive, it's a very courageous thing to do. And more people should stand up and be able to do that, like if it's their lane, like you said, if it's your lane. We don't look down on people if they're not out there doing it, but feel the movement from your home, from your social media, and whatever platform that you can do with your cell phone. Send a message out to show that you're in support, because we can unite without being out on the street. We can unite all kind of ways and hold hands through social media, right?
Definitely.
Does that help?
Everyone can be an activist now, from the comfort of your home, your computer, your cell phone. When you see us out there, at least share what we're doing to your followers.
Share the message and
Yes.
say this is happening, and I don't think it's a good thing.
Yes.
We need to do something about it. Power in numbers. I always say that. It really is true. It is power. You can move mountains if you have enough people behind you showing support. If you get those 7,000 signatures, whatever it may be, you can make a difference.
You can make a difference. And if you don't have those numbers, just remember, one person can make a difference.
Yes.
Believe that also. Believe in
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, one person can create change by making a smile, as I always say. You may make someone smile today, and please spread love and kindness. Plenty of that we need out in the world.
Definitely.
So thank you again so much. I hug this guy. I've known him so long. He knows my mom and family.
Yes.
And I thank everyone for watching Karla Dawn Live. I thank Greg Dulan for opening up his Dulan's on Crenshaw restaurant, because we're about to get into some soul food, collard greens. I'm about to grub with some cornbread and stuffing and all that good stuff every now and then, and I will hit the gym tomorrow. I got to balance, you know, everything in balance. But it is so tasty and flavorful, and they've been here, I think, over 20-something years.
Yes.
So that shows they're doing something right. But again, take care of yourself. Have a phenomenal rest of the week. I wish you all the best. Support people in need. And keep watching Karla Dawn Live. I love it and appreciate it. Go to my website, karlagordybristol.com. It's Karla with a K. We all know that. And subscribe. I don't know why it's so hard to get subscribers on YouTube. What is with this? It's like you just click. It's free. Like everybody subscribe. I want to get more subscribers. Everybody says you got to have this thing on there. I want to put more content. And there's more things I'm able to do when you get a certain amount of subscribers with the page. So please unleash my YouTube page by clicking on it. Go to Karla Gordy Bristol on YouTube. Just search me, and then there's a little red subscribe. You just click it. It's nothing that happens. I think some people think something magical, different happens. Do you have a YouTube?
No.
Okay, and your website is yourname.com. Spell it for everybody.
Najeeali, NajeeAli.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I accept all people who want to network with me.
Yeah, and he tweets a lot. Okay, some like it, some don't, but he's making a difference. You can't be mad. Don't hate people that are making a difference.
Yes.
Ready to eat?
Yes.
All right, we're going to eat, everybody. Come on with me.
All right.
Come, we're going to eat.